So I'm at a library somewhere in Texas, and I don't know how to turn the lights off in here. So the lighting is going to be bad, but I want to talk more about this politics stuff. What an exciting year 2024 has been. It's the year to fight, man. But fight smart. Fight with your words. Use your words. I got that from the documentary Child of Rage. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. Now, the subject for today, and I apologize for the audio because I know it's not going to be good, but Kamala Harris, this is what it's looking like so far. So, Joe Biden dropped out of the race yesterday, Sunday, pretty much Sunday morning. He dropped out of the race, and so all afternoon Sunday, that was the news. So now the presumptive nominee is Kamala Harris. She hasn't picked a running mate yet, and she hasn't even been confirmed. I believe she has to get confirmed at the RNC. But I just got to I watch a lot of political videos. Now, I'm a black conservative. That's a very funny, those two words next to each other, very funny, especially considering that I know a lot of black conservatives. I drove trucks for a long time. I've been religious my entire life. Used to go to church a lot as a young man. I converted, working on a new religion, but still biblical, very biblical. But always been conservative, always leaned to the right on any subject. If you would have asked me when I was 5, what my and I probably was asked when I was 5, but as a little boy, if you asked me what I thought about abortion, I would have been like, oh my God, people do that? People vacuum their babies out of their stomachs? I probably would have said that at 5, and here at almost 45, I don't even know how old I am. It's crazy. I'm about 45, but at 45, same thing. Hopefully abortion stays illegal, and hopefully America could break itself of this horrible habit it's picked up, having reckless sex and having sex mainly for the reasons of procreation or recreation instead of procreation. Sex is about procreation, and everything you do and think should have that in your mind. According to Sigmund Freud, the modern day, a lot of people call him the father of modern day psychology, especially, but Sigmund Freud, he related everything to sex. Sex was the motivating factor in all human behavior. The urge to get sex, the lack of sex, all behavior, all aberrations, all psychosis, they were all related to sex. Everything was sex with Freud. And in the modern era, we do pretty much think Freud overdid it with that. Everything ain't sexual, especially in our era, and not for all people. Freud was working with small populations, limited resources compared to what people work with today. Now there are countless data points as far as studying the psychology of people and individuals, and leads us to Trump psychology. It's not looking good. It's never looked good. I don't get the people. I don't know a lot of MAGA, and I wouldn't associate with MAGA. They're so critical. Again, I'm black conservative, and I wish I could be a Republican. When I was 18 or 19, when I really figured out that I was conservative, started listening to Rush Limbaugh, this was years and years ago. This was back in the 1900s. But I started listening to Rush Limbaugh, and I didn't love him. I never loved Rush, but it was undeniable that on a lot of the core values that most voters make their decisions off of, the economy, pro-life, pro-choice, all the issues, I'm going to be to the right. Right to the center at the least, and hard right at the most. I can't think of any issue I would be on the left of, except we have to say race, because I definitely agree with the left. I definitely agree police brutality and accountability are big issues. And they shouldn't have a license to kill. Being a police officer, especially in the 21st century, there's no place for that in the 21st century, I believe. The things that Trump talks about back in the good old days when cops would smack people upside the head, making monsters. When cops are aggressive and they have heavy hands, they use those heavy hands on very young men. And if and when those young men grow up to be adults, they could be very bitter and antisocial. If they're having negative encounters with the police, there's a good chance that they already are kind of antisocial. But to have society abuse them is, you can make monsters like that. Recently, somebody tried to shoot Trump. Young white guy, really young, crazy young, 20 years old. And we don't know, they're just investigating it. This was very recent that Trump got shot at, just like 8, 9 days ago. And they're analyzing this kid's life with a fine tooth comb, and everybody's surprised. There's no surprises at all to me with this kid. He's 20 years old. He fits the profile of a red pill incel, um, and he probably was red pill. Red pill, I believe, all started with Russia disinformation propaganda brought to us by RT, media outlet that was run by Putin, but it was made for the American audience and the American market. It was very communistic news. They had a green and black logo, and it was an R and a T. And they had a YouTube channel until the war started. And other things happened for the American government. I mean, I wonder how long the government knew about RT, because I knew about RT and what they were doing since day one. But I wasn't upset at it. I wasn't mad at it in the early days, talking like, I think they were new probably around 2008. Hey Siri. Hey Siri. When did RT, when did the RT YouTube channel start? Hey Siri. When was the account for the RT propaganda YouTube channel? I gotta actually read. It won't tell me. So anyway, so Russia Today redirects here. And this is very important. Red pill. Conservatives. I am conservative and I talk politics all day, every day. I don't do it as much as I used to, but that was like my thing. I used to talk to young men about politics all day, every day that I could, like 10 years ago. Let me see, a little bit over 10 years ago. And since I'm going to do this for some of my YouTube videos. So please like, share, and subscribe if you like me doing this, educating people, just reading the Wikipedia page and talking about things that most Americans missed. You probably didn't know about the RT Russia Today YouTube channel, but for years and years and years, they were spreading horrible right-wing propaganda, Nazi stuff and anti-Nazi stuff, and they was like making very communistic propaganda to try to upset American citizens as much as possible. Now think about this. Everything that you ever seen on RT, this is a media company made, operated, and controlled by the Russian government. And it's never been secret about that. Now, they were very good. They were super polished. If you watched their news, you would think that they were Americans. No Russian accents. These people spoke perfectly fluent English, had the Telecaster accents. They had the look, and they looked like your typical standard Anglo-Saxon newscasters. And I'm pretty sure not even pretty sure, they hired minority looking propagandists. And these people might have been 100% American. The news anchors, that's just all they do is read what the teleprompter says. So it's not like they have their own thoughts. But RT was something, and it was very active and a very popular YouTube channel. Now, this is the stuff I'm talking off my head. I'm about to read the Wikipedia article right now. I don't know how much of this I'm going to read because it's probably a long article, but I'm here at the library doing some work, and this computer's going to take probably long enough for me to read this. So I might read all of this. And I'm in the library, so I do want to keep my voice down. Russia Today redirects here, not to be confused with Rossiya Segodnya or Russian Federation Today. Ano TV Novosti redirects here, not to be confused with RIA Novosti. RTTV redirects here, not to be confused with RTVI. Now, when I first saw them, again, I wasn't too upset. It was like clear what these dudes are doing. They're pushing propaganda to Americans. But I say I'm conservative, but I do probably lean to the left, especially considering what MAGA has turned the conservative movement and the Republican Party to. To be MAGA, you have to say that white people are oppressed, and the social media, they're oppressed by the gender warriors and the other special interest groups on the left, and it's not fair. Black people get to say the N word, and even in their music, but if I say it, it's somehow a racial slur. How come I, as a white man, if I say the N word, it's a racial slur, but he, as a black man, when he say it, they don't consider it a racial slur? I just don't understand it. It's it's like fourth grade grammar rules inside the group terminologies. Two gay people can call each other the F word, and they could definitely be using it as an inside in the group R word, a word of affection. Nobody has a problem with that. A lot of these people who raise a stink over the N word, uh, it's not part of their culture. They didn't grow up with it. As far as they know, most of their life, that word was a racial slur and it meant something very bad. But they didn't even get in the rap, so they can't blame it on. I would only want to use the N word because of rap. Yeah, you heard it before that, you used it before that, and maybe you changed or whatever. But anyway, neither here nor there. It's just a word. Words. The left are snowflakes if they get offended by certain words. However, calling somebody a racist, you know, a homosexual shouldn't be offended if they're called fags by a straight dude. Women shouldn't be offended if they're called a bitch or a hoe by a male, straight male. You gotta say that, straight male. They don't mind it when the gay dude do it. And I'm, as a straight man, I don't get why people don't act like they don't get that or they get so offended about that. Yeah, women are going back and forth calling each other bitches, and then when I say it, it does make their heart skip a beat. They do feel a certain way. Some women don't mind, but most women, they don't want a man to call them a bitch. Just like most black people don't want to be called a nigga or a nigger. It's the exact same thing. Just because, oh, now you speak Ebonics, you don't put the A on any other ER word. You don't speak like that. You don't say bigger, you say bigger. You don't say figure, you say figure. You don't speak with an Ebonics inflection, twang, slang, vernacular, whatever, cadence or anything, except for using that word. Even when you wrap the other words, every other word, but anyway it go. So that's a conservative talking point, and it's almost like a campaign. Like they really want to pass some laws to where, look, you can't get mad if I call you any word. It's just a word, but just don't call me racist. Now that South Park has an episode, nigger word guy or nigger guy or something like that. It's a funny episode, and it's deep, and it goes into all of these subjects we speak of. And I used to think Matt and Trey, I love South Park. I always loved South Park. And I used to always think that Matt and Trey were conservative. Uh, and I realized and I read that they didn't like Trump. And I was shocked to read that. And this is somebody I kept up with them. But there was an article I read many years ago about how they was very against Trump. They didn't like Trump. I don't know how they feel now. This is an older article. But they were very against Trump. Um, but they weren't trying to taint their work with any bias. And their work shows, because like I said, I thought they was conservative, especially those seasons, because they was really riding hard on the Democrats, and they should have been. It's satire, social commentary, and that's exactly what it was supposed to do. And now the Democrats have a new chance with Kamala Harris. Please like, share, subscribe this, because I got this message for her. I'm a black conservative, and I've only voted in presidential politics once in my life, and that was when it was Mitt Romney versus Obama. I I wrote in Ron Paul. I supported Ron Paul the entire time. You know, I watched him in the Republican nomination process. I watched him in all the debates, and I watched him with excitement. Before Ron Paul, I used to say I'm a political atheist. I don't believe in politicians. Ron Paul changed that for me. I saw a lot of good in Ron Paul. I saw a lot of truth in Ron Paul. And Ron Paul he was a longtime libertarian, but he leaned to the right. So these last couple years, he ran as a Republican. And I thought it was a great fit, because he was the only traditional conservative on that stage when he was up there debating those dudes. Especially, like I say, traditional conservative, not this new evangelical, like this new demographics that political counters, statisticians, they keep up with. Those people. When we talk about the right, there's so many people that are on the right, and they're on the right for different reasons. You know, Roe versus Wade was overturned. And again, I'm conservative, so thank God that happened. Thank God that happened. Maybe women can stop acting like bitches in heat. And if they don't want to have babies, maybe they could stop, maybe they just have men not shoot semen at their eggs. And again, I'm a regular conservative, so do I think exceptions for rape and incest and young girls and medical issues? Of course. Of course. I'm not an extreme. I mean, I used to think I was extreme conservative before this whole MAGA movement, but now I can't even say I'm conservative, because those people are so not conservative. Conservative used to mean button up, polished, refined, classy. Is that what MAGA is? And now you got the likes of Marjorie Taylor Greene. This is the grand old party of Lincoln and Ulysses S. Grant. And like I say, man, if Ulysses S. Grant was around today, I think Ulysses S. Grant and Abraham Lincoln would have serious potential, and there would be a serious likelihood that they would want to physically fight Donald Trump. Seriously. And not even any political issue in particular, but just the character. They wouldn't be able to tolerate a dude like that. He's a snake oil salesman. And Honest Abe didn't like them type of dudes. And Honest Abe would punch you in your mouth. Little history. People love perverting the history of Abraham Lincoln and making stuff up. One reason I didn't like Obama. I mean, Obama in hindsight, for a black conservative, the type of black conservative I am. I'm not speaking for the popular ones. You can only become popular in politics these days if you talk like an absolute. You got to be outrageous. You got to be shocking. You got to you got to be viral, turning this country into Idiocracy, the movie, the old Mike Judd movie. Idiocracy. If you haven't seen that, watch that. It's MAGA. It's MAGA. That was a satirical, goofy, silly, super ridiculous movie when it came out. And now we're seeing it. And these idiots, these MAGA idiots, they can't stop out idioting themselves. So these people who, I can't think of it. Hey Siri, what is it called when a large group of people go insane together? Mass hysteria. He's not talking for some reason, but mass hysteria. Other names include collective hysteria, group hysteria, or collective obsessive behavior. In sociology and psychology, it refers to collective delusions of threats to society that spread rapidly, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, There are crazy cases of this, especially out of Europe, and it might be disease related, it might be COVID related, but these people are going absolutely insane. January 6th, the inauguration day, they tried to overthrow the Capitol. Large mobs descended on the Capitol. They mobbed the Capitol. I believe it was thousands of people. Hey Siri, how many rebellious participants were there on January 6th? Between 2,000 and 2,500 people. Between 2,000 and 2,500 people, according to, what's the source for this? Wikipedia. So that's Wikipedia. So according to Wikipedia, between 2,000 and 2,500 people descended on the Capitol. And that looked about right from what I saw, the footage that day. And the same people who complain about the Black Lives Matter protest, they hoot and holler about it. They defend the there's some people that defend the criminals who got criminally in the Black Lives Matter stuff. However, you gotta say with Black Lives Matter, those protests, first of all, most of the protests never turned violent. The vast majority of those protests never turned violent, never destroyed one thing. There were some cities that couldn't do a Black Lives Matter protest without breaking windows and burning shit. But don't defend them. Definitely wouldn't call them hostages, especially ones that were locked up and convicted. It's unbelievable. People died. Who says those people should be out of jail? Plenty of people. Hey Siri, how many convictions were a result of the Black Lives Matter protest? 300 people, according to the top justice.gov. Let me make sure. I got to actually open that because that was just a blurb. Are they talking about Black Lives Matter protests? But either way it go, we're talking about thousands and thousands and thousands of people coast to coast having all these protests. The MAGA folks have one protest. The craziest thing I've ever seen. Because it's crazy, these riots that certain cities have every 7 years or so over something. And that's something too, like, were they rioting in those cities before Black Lives Matter even existed? But you blame all the damage and chaos on that one organization, even though I'm sure there were more organizations profiteering off of the tragedies of those police killings and the police brutality. Lots of people were killed back to back, and these were horrific police killings. You had Philando Castillo, a black male with dreadlocks, a school teacher. He was shot with his 3-year-old daughter in the back seat and his wife in the front seat, or his fiance, baby mom, whatever. And she recorded it and live streamed it. They would have definitely covered that up. The cop who shot him, on video, he shouldn't have shot him. There's absolutely, you can't say that was anything but racism. He had a racial panic attack. You see it on camera. And he shot a nice guy for no reason in front of the little girl. Like, what the fuck? Even if the guy had a gun, even if he had a bazooka on his lap, the dude never saw a gun because he never pulled a gun. He never said he was pulling a gun. Like, it's the craziest shit ever. And I don't even know if that guy lost his ability to be a police officer. You had that happen to Tamir Rice, very simpler, very even, which was more horrific. Philando was in his 20s, I believe. Tamir Rice was 14 years old. A little baby-faced little guy. He wasn't a big 14-year-old either. He was a little guy, a little short guy, a little pretty boy, little girl-faced boy, And he's in a park playing with a BB gun in Cleveland, and the cops drive up and just shoot him. And he didn't have a gun out. When they drove over and shot him, he didn't have a gun out. He saw them driving up, aiming, and he tried to throw the gun. Never pointed at him or anything. And it was a BB gun. It was a toy BB gun. And the cops just drove up and did a drive-by. Drove up to him and shot him. 14-year-old kid. Caught on camera. The craziest shit ever. They didn't tell him to stop. They didn't tell him. Well, they did yell, like, drop it or don't do it or some shit like that. They yelled some crazy shit. But they didn't give him a chance. It was really, literally no chance. To be MAGA and to be on the right, you defend that. And you say cops should have the license. They should be rougher and heavier handed. Some of these cities, the drug war has been raging for over 50 years. Not even some of these cities, a lot of these cities, a lot of these Midwestern cities. And I'm from Chicago. And I was a very outgoing kid, personable kid, hustling kid, shoveling driveways kid, helping people, helping strangers with grocery bags, trying to hustle up $1 here and there. And dollars were hard to make back then. But if you got a quarter for a little hustle, that's the era that I come from. And lots of young kids who were born in poverty, that's how we spent our childhood. We go to school all day. After school, we hit the streets. We run the streets, playing and hustling and all kind of stuff, doing favors for money and chores for money. And life is hard. And the kids are blamed for those conditions. And that's what MAGA is, and that's what MAGA does. MAGA says that the drug problem in America is because of black kids and rap music. When I'm from Chicago. It is now 2024. The murder rate in 2024 is almost identical to what it was in 1924. That was the gangster era of Chicago. A guy that Trump brags about, Al Capone. He was shooting politicians. There were political assassinations in Chicago 100 years ago. Hey Siri, were any politicians assassinated in Chicago? Yes, lots. Anton Cermak, Illinois. Here, this did look like that article look like it sums it up. I'll go there real quick. You look at people say that rap was created in New York like 50 years ago. That's a lie. They were rapping 100 years ago in 1924. You can find rap on YouTube from the 20s, from the roaring 20s. You can find people rapping. But we live in an era of lies, and it's all about being popular. If you're popular, your lie sells the most. And that's what Trump is running on, and that's what he's banking on. Kamala Harris, right now, as of now, I plan on voting for you. I want to vote for you. Black conservative, never voted for a Democrat presidential nominee, never participated in the Democratic nominations. Like I say, last time I voted, only time I voted in presidential politics is I wrote in Ron Paul. Mitt Romney versus Obama, that pissed me off so bad. Mitt Romney was the Republican version of Obama, except with a little bit more baggage. The special underwear and all that type of stuff. I respect religion, but boy, you're going to have a Mormon. And why? Why would the Republicans choose a Mormon like that with those politics? Especially, we see how hard right the Republican Party turned. But they just had not their last nominee, but the nominee before that was freaking Mitt Romney. Their previous nominee that beat out Ron Paul was Mitt Romney. They call the Obamacare, a lot of people call it Obamacare because Obama took Mitt Romney's plan. He looked at it, he reviewed it, and he almost made the Obamacare, he almost made it identical to Mitt Romney's. Mitt Romney was a governor, and he did this healthcare thing, and it was basically precursor to Obamacare. And this is who they picked, and one of their biggest gripes is Obamacare and socialized medicine and all this stuff. But you nominate Mitt Romney this year. Think about that. Mitt Romney was the nominee before Trump. The last person they nominated, let me make sure, yeah, Mitt Romney. Obama beat McCain, who I like McCain. McCain was my guy. And I like McCain. McCain upset me because the moment he got the nomination, McCain was and the reason McCain won the nomination that year is because he was kind of like the anti-establishment Republican. That's why he won. And so the day after he won, it might not have been the exact day after he won, but I'm pretty sure it was the day after he won, he gave his speech. And I was rooting for him. I wasn't really participating in politics, but I was watching that election. I planned on voting. And just because of politics, and I had read so much about Obama, I knew his policies. I had read his book early and all that stuff. I knew Obama's policies, and I just knew that politically speaking, it'd be ridiculous for me voting for him. Only reason I will vote for him is because we're both black, but we're different blacks. We're not the same race at all. He's half Kenyan and half white, first generation American. One of his parents, his black parent, was not even an American. His family probably participated in the slave trade in a very different way than my ancestors and my fellow ancestors as descendants of slaves. And I know they say that Obama has a slave ancestor on his mother's side, but come on. Come on. So you do got some slave ancestors, but they join the other side. Kind of a joke, but not 100%. Why are you saying that this guy's the same race as me and same ethnicity as me? The same person that'll say that about me and Obama. Again, we're both allegedly from Chicago. I was born there. He moved there. Something else about Obama. He has a really thick Hawaiian accent. It's the first thing you notice about him. And then people talk about he was born in Africa. Dude has a thick Hawaiian accent, but he's very good at articulating and speaking in a way where you hear his accent. You always hear every word he says, you hear his Hawaiian accent, but he articulates it in a way to where it's obvious. People who aren't familiar with Hawaiian accents or Polynesian accents, people who are Polynesian Americans, the way they have a certain accent, if they're not used to that, you just think that he's from where you're from. He just talks a little different, a little funny. But anyway, if I was Harris, and I'm going to cut this up. I'm going to have to cut this up because I made this video way longer than I wanted to. But if I was Harris, 3 pieces of advice for Harris. Because people who hate Trump and who are fired up and they were going to vote for Joe Biden are probably going to vote for you. People that were fired up for Joe Biden are probably going to be fired up for you. Now you have a new opportunity. But I'm a black conservative on the militant side of the game. Ain't none of us too popular. You might be able to say Umar Johnson or Farrakhan or, religious militant people who take offense at white Jesus. And then the same people who insist on these images of white Jesus, which breaks the commandments of the Bible, they're the first ones to get mad and call somebody else to being too sensitive about race. I'm being too sensitive about race, but you insist on having this Europeanized 2,000-year-old Hebrew, a completely different race of people. You made them, not only did you make them extra European, but you made them Nordic looking. Anyway, but yeah, those the same ones, and that's MAGA. MAGA ain't Jesus, they're white Jesus. MAGA is Merry Christmas, ho, 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 the manger, and the 3 wise men, and the candy canes, and the Santa sleigh, and the pagan Christians. It is what it is. You got to call it what it is. It's pagans. If they read the Bible sometime and maybe got out, I think a lot of them, they do read the Bible. They read the King James Bible and they don't understand any of those words. But anyway, I'm this type of black conservative. Now I know Kamala knows that she needs us to be motivated and vote. Like, first of all, this is what this video is really for. I'm talking to my fellow black conservatives that ain't like the ones that they put out there, the Jessies and the Candace and the, all the black conservative, Larry, was it Larry Elder, Armstrong Williams. Now again, no, Larry Elders and Armstrong Williams, they were old school conservatives on national radio. And Armstrong Williams, well, no, Armstrong Williams is liberal. He just be cursing, and he's feisty. So I don't know. Wait, no, Armstrong Williams. No, I'm thinking of the Black Eagle that's liberal. Armstrong Williams is definitely conservative, black conservative. But again, all the popular black conservatives don't like black people or black neighborhoods or black communities. They don't feel comfortable around black people, and they like talking about that and expressing that verbally. And then on top of it, they make it seem like black culture is thug culture, which is simply not true. I'm from Chicago. I'm from the city. So I know that white Chicagoans are just as rough, crazy, and dangerous as black and Hispanic Chicagoans, and they get you every time. Boy, boy, I got a million stories. I got a million stories about that, and not even like tourists, people that are from Chicago in the Chicagoland area, but they come to the hood, and some white dude get them, some white local hustler play them real good, play that race card with them. Hey man, what are you doing around here, man? You know anybody around here? Say, hey, man, look, let me hook you up, man. I know these people around here. I'll take care of you. Take care of your ass, all right. Teach you a lesson. Don't be racist. And again, they talk about Chicago all the time. And Chicago has become a code word for like, I'm gonna get those niggers in check. A dog whistle, as they say. Now, just because I'm black and I'm conservative, I'm supposed to pretend that that's not true. I'm black and I'm conservative. I'm supposed to pretend that police brutality isn't an issue, that the drug war isn't racist. They, especially people like the extreme ones, the really popular ones like Candace Owens, she literally says there's no institutionalized racism in America anymore. And affirmative action, like she says, I know a lot of black women from all over, That's my preference. That's what I dated. So I know black women probably in at least 20 states, probably more than that. And I probably socialized with women in all these states. I lived in several states, born and raised in Chicago, lived in San Antonio a long time. Right now, I'm in the Austin area. I'm usually in Austin. The reason I'm in the library right now is because I got stuck out here. And this is a nice library. Anytime I'm in the neighborhood, I'm gonna check this place out and work on videos and upload and edit. But yeah, I know so many black conservative women. Being a black conservative, that's who I gravitate to. That's who I like. That's who I appreciate. We could be around each other. We got the same values. You know what I'm saying? The women I know and hang around with, they're going to be more critical of Sexy Red than I ever would be. And I don't even have to because that's what they're there for. They criticize them. So, like I said, I know, most black women I socialize with go to church regularly or at least read the Bible regularly. They believe in it. They down with it. They try to follow those values that we have passed down from generation to generation. And these are very conservative values. But you listen to these black conservatives, they talk as if black people listen to Cardi B and Sexy Red and and these other rappers that most black women I know would know nothing about if they didn't go viral. Candace Owens claims to be a black conservative woman. I know at least thousands in my life, at least thousands. I've met thousands and thousands. Hell, I've gone to churches. I've gone to black churches with more than 1,000 people way back in the day, back in the 80s and 90s. And she talks about rap. I don't know. You call yourself conservative and black, then your favorite music should be gospel, I would think, or at least R&B. Candace Owens never talks about any gospel artists. Been watching her for years. I've heard her say her favorite art when she was young. Her favorite rapper was Jay-Z. How in the hell are you conservative and your favorite rapper is Jay-Z? That's this new conservative. If your favorite rapper is Jay-Z, you ain't down with the Bible like that. Jay-Z he worships money and himself in his music. So that's what you are, and that's what you want to be, and that's what you want to do. And that's what Candace Owens is. She worships money and herself. And this whole concept of I'm not a nigga like you niggas. Jay-Z got a whole lot of that in him. He talked about it in articles. I never liked Jay-Z. Never liked his music, never liked his style, never liked his voice. Oh my God, his voice. His voice is up there in a in that same level with Eminem. But his voice, man, Jay-Z sound like crackly voice. All the popular rappers, it's funny they talk about a lot of these dudes talk about how feminized the men are that wear dresses and nail polish and lipstick and all this and whatnot. But they don't talk about how all the popular rappers got pretty feminine voices. There's no deep baritone rappers that are popular. Hell, throughout the whole history of it, we don't got too many of them. And a lot of the popular ones, it's like they feminize their voice. They speak very nasally on purpose. And I often got to speak nasally. I need surgeries and stuff. I got a lot of serious issues around this area. So some days I can't even breathe. Um, but I still, I don't talk like that. And if I rapped, your rapping voice is like your singing voice. You choose a melody and a rap singing style. And like I said, that's just, we don't talk about Drake getting drugged anyway, so we might as well mention that. Why is ain't Drake like in his 40s and he talks with the little, yeah, chipmunky voice, and it's like, there's not even, his speaking voice is so much deeper than that. A lot of these rappers are like that. And it's not strange, but it's an American thing that displays America's racism. And again, let's get back to this red pill stuff. This is all very important, trust me. It has to do with Kamala being able to get the black vote. And I want black people to vote for Kamala on purpose. On purpose. This needs to be a message. I'm really talking to black conservatives. Vote for Kamala. She could lose the vote. Suck it up and vote for her. I didn't vote for Obama, and not only that, I made videos about why I couldn't and wouldn't vote for Obama, and I encourage other black people, don't let blacks pressure you into being a Democrat. I was saying this way before. I was saying this back when Obama was running. I was saying this when nobody else was saying it. And black people didn't get mad at me. I said this in many neighborhoods, many hoods, but I'm respectful when I say it, and I don't tell people that they're stupid for disagreeing with me, with them or trying to mock them. Like these alphas that talk shit, and then when somebody slap them for talking shit, they want to talk like a bitch. You're the one you did all this alpha talk in the first place. Alphas don't really exist. It's a scientific misnomer. It's a mistake that science made early on. But either way it goes, and there are definitely, when we talk about alpha males, there are these lone wolves that go and attack villages and family and try to take it over. Kill everything, and that's what these dudes are. These red pill dudes are the human version of that. They mean what they say. That's what they want. They would love to see a beautiful woman be able to go kill that dude, kill the babies, so that she becomes fertile again, like some chimpanzee monkey type stuff. And these red pill dudes claim to be a highly evolved mind, and they're the exact opposite. And that's exactly what MAGA is. MAGA is exactly the opposite of what it says it is. They're law and order. And they have these rowdy political rallies. We talk about black stereotypes, but let's talk about the equivalent version. It's so funny. These people, they claim to be on the right, and they claim to love the types of like Thomas Sowell. Lots of them talk about how much they love Thomas Sowell in his writings. Thomas Sowell basically said that the N-word population of the black people, the thugs, or these days the red pillars will call them Pookie Ray Rays. Thomas Sowell was that type. For some reason with black conservative, black hoodlums and black hooliganism, it's representative popular culture and is representative of the black culture. But no criticism to the white side, even though the black side doesn't do it as much or as often. Great example. Most black kids that are in the music, there are more black kids that are in the gospel music than that are in the rap. Hell, I know a lot of rappers that are Christian rappers. It's one on my page. I got buddies that I know in personal life. You know, again, most black people that are trying to be artists, they're trying to sing. They want to be gospel artists. Candace Owens is a black conservative woman, and she's supposed to be the spokesman for black conservative women. Who's your favorite gospel artist? How do you feel? Like, can you name any? Probably not. Not probably not. You haven't done it. You talk for a living and you never talk about conservative stuff. That's the thing that kills me about Candace Owens. I know so many black conservatives. I know what they like. Candace Owens never talks about the Bible, never talks about God, never talks spiritually, never talks about soul food or black culture or anything. Again, if you're black and conservative, you probably know how to do your own freaking hair, right? Candace Owens ain't that type of chick. She don't come across as a black girl that knows how to do her own hair. I mean, she probably know how to hot comb it and wash it and all that type of stuff, but I'm from the south side of Chicago. There's certain smells that I will relate to blackness, my idea of blackness, and it's completely opposite. I've traveled. I live in the South now. Very different, but a lot of the smells are the same. Especially you could go in some of these older houses that have been in the family for years and years and years, maybe generations. Hot comb on the stove. They don't do that as much. Women don't do each other's hair as much anymore. But again, at her age, if Candace Owens has been conservative, which she's not, but if she's a conservative black woman, most conservative black women I know, they know something about gardening and farming. And not just know it from books, but it's part of us. Some stuff we learn naturally and constantly all throughout life. Again, you know how to do your hair. People might insult me for my haircuts and the way I look when I shave, but I could shave much better. I shave my own hair, come on here. And I could cut myself a fade. If I wanted to take the time and get my arms tired in the mirror and all that, I've done it before. Because I've always been black. So I played with clippers in my hair probably in the 80s for the first time, in the 90s. And of course, Candace Owens isn't as old as me, but still, I have plenty of black relatives, and like I say, I know plenty of black women her age. And if there's a 30-year-old black woman that talks about Cardi B as much as Candace Owens does, there's no way I would assume she's conservative. She doesn't fit that mold. Again, conservative women, they don't even know who that is. And if you bring it up, don't bring that old nasty heifer up to me. Talk to me about, what do you think about this? And what do you think? Again, she ain't that. She will feel out of place in a room. Anyway, that might not be true because I know she's done this Blexit stuff, the corny stuff. But what folly. And now she got screwed over by those right-wingers in a crazy way. She's very ignorant. Candace Owens is very ignorant about a lot of stuff, but she's very ignorant about Jews and Judaism. And she's very ignorant about race. She's made that very clear. Like, for her to be an expert, like, what does she know? What could she tell us about her own genetics? What are you? What are your African ancestors? We live in the age of technology. Can you tell us that? Or what did you get from generations? What did grandma say? What did great-grandmama say? Candace Owens is a crack baby. Hey Siri, is Candace Owens a crack baby? Crack baby, that was a term popular in my childhood. And that's a funny thing too. Black conservatives, So Candace Owens is young compared to all them other names I named. Larry Elder is an elder. Jesse Lee Peterson, I believe he's older than Trump. Hey Siri, how old is Jesse Lee Peterson? 75. Oh, the headphones on. That's why. That's why it's not talking. It says Jesse Lee Peterson is 75, so he's younger than him. And he always say he was born on a plantation. How was you born on a plantation? He was probably born. I mean, plantations still exist. And the way he grew up like a black hippie. He grew up on basically a commune. He describes it very different. He describes it again like it was a slave plantation. And of course, there was no slavery where he was at the time, but it was probably very slave-like. He was probably born and raised in the sharecropping days and everything that entails. And it's something I get very frustrated with, especially like Candace Owens. I don't think I could be friends with Candace Owens because she speaks as if she's the ultimate authority, but what does she really know about all of this stuff that I talk? When it comes to Black history, if you really want to know what it is, you have to educate yourself. You have to look out certain authors. And if you like the spokesperson for Black people and you're supposed to know everything, you should know a lot about Black history and even like a lot of special little details. Who is your favorite Black people in history? Again, Candace Owens never speaks positively of any Black conservatives. If you're, again, I mentioned Ulysses S. Grant and Abraham Lincoln. I remember back in the days, man, Lincoln was so popular when I was a kid. First of all, I'm from Chicago. Chicago is Illinois. Illinois calls themselves the land of Lincoln. That's the state motto, the land of Lincoln. Illinois is very proud of Abraham Lincoln. And he's cool, man. He's the coolest president ever, man. That was a really cool part about growing up in Chicago. All the Abraham Lincoln stuff. And not just the Abraham Lincoln stuff, but the anti-slavery stuff. And Chicago was founded by a black man, DuSable, black Frenchman. Hell, some of the first blacks to land, to walk on American soil, they were black Spaniards, conquistadors, Moors, and stuff like that. My name is Diego. A lot of times I'm talking to black people and they be like, why do you have that name? That's a Mexican name. When I first moved to Texas, I used to get so mad when people would say that. I grew up in Chicago and everybody in Chicago, niggas know I'm black. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, your name is Diego, and yeah, you're not the darkest brother, and yeah, some of your features, do weird things, like my hair and my eyes could change color sometimes. Not a lot, not a contrast, but different shades of brown. Same with my hair, different shades of brown, different shades of red, especially in the summer. My hair sun bleach is really bad. I'm one of them calico Negroes. Look like a calico cat. Used to complain about that. Got these gray and white hairs now. Calico cat wasn't so bad. You don't miss what you got till it's gone. But also these things you get on the south side of Chicago. Yeah, you get teased for black stuff, for not being black enough, or for being, the Mexican. But again, I didn't get Mexican like growing up in Chicago. They more likely call me Puerto Rican or something like that. Or I get confused for Puerto Rican in Chicago because we live very deep in Blacktonia. And most black people ain't never even been to Blacktonia, but they talk like they black experts. That's the thing that upset me so much about some of these black conservatives. The ones who know the least about being black talk the most about it. And then they talk about blacks, and then they say stuff like black people is as racist as white people. Most black racism is really harmless and fun, and it's really like the cracker stuff. Cracker has nothing to do with saltine crackers, even though that's what most people say these days, but it has to do with the whip cracker. And when you call somebody a whip cracker, you're not just calling them, it's not racial. I mean, it's racial, but it's more about the ass kisser. You're a slave just like me, but you oppress me. so that your slavery is not as bad. And you accept this label of whiteness when they don't consider you white. You got it worse than us. We don't even talk to that motherfucker. You the enforcer. He talk to you, you get smart with him, he smack you right in the mouth. He'll never slap this. 9 times out of 10, the owner ain't gonna never slap the slaves. The cracker do that, just in case the slave fight back. The cracker does the risk, not the master. And all crackers want to be masters, and all slaves want to be masters. If you don't free your mind, and black conservatives, we believe we're free, and we are free. We're different. We're already not liked, and we're already made fun of for our views and for disagreeing, and then also being like the party poopers. Put your clothes on, put that stuff away, clean that up. You know, stop shitting on my shit. Stop shitting on my shit. The black crackers. But again, you keep the people below you out of your neighborhood, and they got to go through your neighborhood to get to the next neighborhood. We're not a primitive society. All this alpha stuff, there's no such thing as an alpha these days, but you can be a bully. But with great power comes great responsibility, and that's what the blue pill is all about. These red pill cats, they talk about blue pill men, and they even admit that most men are blue pill. So if most men are blue pill, that means blue pill men define and shape and mold masculinity. If it's what most men do and think naturally, then that means to be masculine. It is masculine to be protective of women. It is masculine to not like pimps and to think pimps are twerps and to snatch a pimp up if you catch him pimping, especially a minor. Do something about it. It's very liberal to say live and let live. That's really like so many ways. How do you define conservative versus liberal? For somebody like myself, a black conservative who didn't get a lot of political encouragement, because even though, like I said, I know a lot of black conservative coming from my Chicago background, the black church, something that was very unified at one point, and now they're just so competitive with each other. Everything has become so commercialized. I am on the right. I do lean to the right. I do like the military minded. My black African ancestors did fight in the war. There's a direct line of men that leads to me all fought in World War War. My grandfather fought. Well, hell, we had to go before that. But my uncles, me and my brother are the first. We're the first generation to not serve in the military in hundreds of years. My almost 200 years. My one of my great grandfathers served in the Civil War. Very proud of him. Hiram Revel Rhodes. I look a lot like him. We're so similar. My mom, I'm pretty sure those are the dominant genes in my family because I look like my mom, and my mom and her full brother looks like everybody on that road side of the family. But anyway, it's like I inherited a lot of his mentality. Studying him is such a trip. Very proud of him. So honorable. Hiram Revel Rhodes, the first chaplain in the United States Army, fought in the Civil War, was the chaplain during the Civil War, the first black man elected to Senate, the first black senator in United States history. Hey Siri, who was the first black senator in the United States?
Hiram Rose Revels was the first African American to serve in the United States Senate. He was elected in 1870 by the Mississippi State Legislature to succeed Albert G. Brown, who had resigned during the Civil War. This is from HistoricColor.com and Wikipedia.
Like I say, that's the famous picture of him. Definitely look like my grandfather, and I don't look like a lot of people. So, I don't look like a lot of people of any race. I look weird even amongst most black communities that I've been to and visited. I look weird, but I look familiar. So I fit in, but I get the strange look, especially here in the South, man. Some of these, that's one thing I wanted to talk about. The Southerners, they supposed to have Southern hospitality, and they claim to be more rude or more polite, but they're actually more rude. The way they stare at you, and they can stare at you in silence, and it's not rude to stare at strangers silently and judgingly, and like look at them and talk about them and make faces while you look at them and talk about them. And if they say something, they the crazy ones. But again, you ain't from around here, so I'm supposed to look at you, feller. And black and white people got that attitude and mentality. If they're from the South, they're like that. Now, let's get to black conservatives, real black conservatives. And please, like I say, like, share, subscribe if you agree with what I'm talking about. Help me become a voice for black conservative. I'm realistic. You know, it's so upsetting to see again these. Some people have. I come up with this idea. I call it a racial inferiority complex. Candace Owens. She's talked for years and years and years. One consistent message is white people are better. Their neighborhoods are better. Their communities are better. Their values are better. Their ethics are better. Just white people are better. Unfortunately, I'm black. Crack baby. Hey Siri. No, let me not ask Siri. Siri already said what she said. Let's ask Google. Is Candace Owens a crack baby? I'm gonna have to research it myself and make a YouTube video. Like, share, subscribe if you want me to do the research and find out if Candace Owens was a crack baby. But I'll look at her Wikipedia page real quick. Early life and education. Born in White Plains, New York, Owens was raised with her siblings by her grandparents from around the age of 11 or 12 after her parents' divorce. She is the third of 4 children. She said her paternal grandfather, Robert Owens, a black American, was born in North Carolina, Owens also of Caribbean heritage. Yeah, she looked more Caribbean than black, to be honest, you know. Though her grandmother was really from St. Thomas. She's a graduate from Stanford. I was finna say, that's an M. I was finna say Stanford. Stamford. She's a graduate of Stanford High School. I was gonna say Stanford College. Yeah, I don't think she graduated college. It don't say. I couldn't see anything skimming through about her parents. It doesn't say. Here's a good article. Here's a good paragraph. In 2007, while a 17-year-old senior in high school, Owens received 3 racist death threat voicemail messages totaling 2 minutes from a group of white male classmates, which included the son of the then mayor and future Democratic governor, Daniel Malloy. Joshua Starr, the city's superintendent of schools, listened to. I want to interview that dude. I want to hear his side of the story. Was Candace Owens like a creepy stalker? And can we hear these messages? How were they racist? You know, Candace Owens says you shouldn't be offended by a racist, but she's the one black person I know that sued somebody because a white person trolled her racially. Most black people think that's a part of life, especially if you grew up on the edges like I did. You know, where I'm from, you can't go a mile or 2 in a different direction and not hit a neighborhood that is a different race. On the south side, the blackness got pretty thick on the south side, especially when you like deep on the south side. South side. Yeah, South side was shit. The south side still black. A lot of the population is gone. They tore down most of the high-rise projects. But yeah, it's a lot of black. And in Chicago, man. In Chicago, man. So, how does Candace Owens win? So how do most black conservatives feel about Candace Owens? Most black conservatives love Candace Owens. Even me. I'm talking about her the way I'm talking about her, but I watch a lot of Candace Owens stuff, man. And I usually do agree with her. A lot of the race stuff. Oh man, I left my camera in there, and I was not expecting this car to be empty. All right, so black conservatives. I'm voting for Candace Owens. Kamala Harris. You know, that's not necessarily true. If she picks one of the celebrity Democrats, I'm probably not gonna vote for her. I can't vote for Harris Buttigieg. I can't vote for Harris and, like I say, any popular Democrat you name. They're gonna be Buttigieg. Buttigieg is a white dude married to a white dude, and they've adopted black children, black male children. That's fucked up. That's fucked up. Again, I'm black conservative. Of course I think that's fucked up. If you're black and liberal, how do you not think that's fucked up? Why do they have a black kid? Why? Why the fuck do they have a black kid? I was a black kid. Like Candace Owens, I grew up from dysfunctional family stuff. My mom didn't quite smoke crack or anything like that, but my mom was raised in a foster home. And, you know, my mom had to take in children, so I have foster siblings. And, I lived like a foster child. There were times that because of poverty, I couldn't live with my mom or see my mom for a little while. You live here for a little while. This is your part-time mom. Mama Abby's your mama for right now. Or my mother's biological grandmother. Lots of stuff like that. But I couldn't imagine. People talk about that. I hear people say that all the time. It doesn't matter who adopts you, just as long as da-da-da. That's not true. That's not true. And I know from personal experience, and I could produce people. I dated more than one black girl who was raised by white adoptive parents. It's traumatic, man. From what they've told me, it's one of the worst experiences in life. The black girls I've dated who were raised by white adoptive parents, oh man, it's hard. Hard and heartbreaking. So many days of your life. So lonely. And then when you're crying because of race or racism, you gotta cry to this white girl who's gonna be goofy and can't be empathetic. Even with the best intentions 9 times out of 10. The stories about, the hair stuff. I'm older, so I dated this, you could Google search that stuff now, and I'm very empathetic. And if it's good, if it's real, it's good. But I couldn't imagine being a little black boy and I want to be raised by 2 gay white men. What child does not deserve a fucking mother, man? Or at least women in their life. It's like one of the worst aspects of prison. You go up in there and you could go days without seeing or hearing a woman or her voice. Only a gay dude would think something like that is okay, I think. Or it's something else. Got to be wrong with you. Yes, I'm a little black boy. I grew up in extreme poverty, man. I had a crazy childhood. Saw lots of murders. The 80s and 90s were the worst. Crime-wise, they were the worst years in this country. There was probably at least twice as many murders in the 90s and 80s as any time in any other decade. Chicago, they talk about Chicago's murders now. The peak of Chicago, there was like over 3,000 murders a year. There's less than 1,000 these years. But it's the worst ever. Please explain that to me. I grew up as one of those kids, hustling on the train, singing those little, I didn't sing the songs, but I heard the songs and I see the other little boys and cool with them for the most part. Friends, enemies, ups and downs, just like everything else. But according to these black conservatives, no. Again, Candace Owens, rock and roll, and other black conservatives that agree with those types. They're so critical of rap music, but not rock and roll. And rock and roll is way more evil. It's way more devil worshipy, and it's way more popular amongst the young people. Most young people, especially the rappers that she talks about. She talks about the rappers that you got to be young and crazy to like. Sexy Reds and Cardi B's. And yes, it sucks that they target the children. But I don't know this. I'm older and I don't pay that much attention to rock, especially degenerate rock. Again, I'm black and conservative. I don't like degenerate rock. I don't like degenerate raps. No, I did not like Jay-Z. Ever. Never. No, never liked Biggie. Never. Ever. I'm conservative. Why would I like listening to them rap about such horrible things and talk about black people the way they do? 50 Cent is entertaining, but at the end of the day, his music is horrible. Nigga, I kill you. Look at me wrong, step on my shoe. Your life ain't shit, nigga. As much as I like 50 Cent's music and beats and all that, I couldn't listen to it too much. When he say, nigga, I kill you, who is he talking to? Is he talking to me, the fan? Well, I'm not a fan of 50, but like I say, makes good music. I'm a fan of Tupac because I'm black and I'm conservative. So that's my favorite rapper. You're black and you're conservative and your favorite rapper is who? Please explain that to me. What kind of a conservative? What does conservative mean? Hey Siri, define the word conservative.
As an adjective, conservative means averse to change or innovation and hold in traditional values. Do you want to hear the next one?
Yes.
As an adjective, it means, in a political context, favoring free enterprise, private ownership, and socially traditional ideas. Want to hear one more?
Sure.
As an adjective, it means, I've an estimate purposely low for the sake of caution. Want to hear one more?
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't understand.
Yes. Yes. Freaking AI. But anyway, conservative. So conservatives are the ones that invaded the Capitol. The party of Lincoln and Grant are the ones that had on masks and guns and Confederate flags at our Capitol. Looked like an invading army. Looked like the Confederacy rose again. And the new Republicans call these people hostages. Again, yes, Abraham Lincoln would slap the shit out of Donald Trump if he was alive today, or if he could get out of some time machine and run into him. Or Donald Trump get in a time machine, go back, talk to Abraham Lincoln. This is what I did. Watch these videos. Abraham Lincoln would have a hard time not whooping his ass. Real talk. Ulysses S. Grant, forget about it. The handlers would know to keep those two away from each other. Keep those two away from each other. One of these days, Ulysses S. Grant gonna have too many drinks, and he gonna knock the snot out of Trump. And this is what the Republican Party's become. Screaming, yelling, dirty t-shirts. This is what conservative is. Conservatives used to be suit and ties, Sunday dress. The type of people that they wear work clothes all during the week, but on a Sunday, they'll dress up, put on a suit and a tie, get fancy, and go have a day of being fancy like the fancy people. But not the new conservatives. They go there with their sleeves cut off, tattoos all over their face and neck. They just had the keynote speaker was Amber Rose, the creator of the Slut Walk. Hey Siri, who is Amber Rose?
A rose is a perennial plant of the genus Rosa, or the flowering
Siri,
bears.
who is Amber Rose?
Amber Rose Levanchuk is an American model, rapper, and television personality. This is from Wikipedia.
What is Amber Rose famous for?
Amber Rose Levanchuk, born October 21st, 1983, is an American model, rapper, and television.
Yeah. Hey Siri, What is the slut walk?
Slut Walk is a song sung and girls are angry too. It is sung by the boys and the girls. This is from fandom.com.
What the fuck? Is a song and girls are angry too. Girls are angry too. Hey Siri, what is the Amber Rose slut walk?
The Amber Rose Slut Walk Festival is currently held in Pershing Square in Los Angeles. The Slut Walk holds many activities, including live DJs, sign making, educational booths, photo fun, free breast cancer exams, and HIV testing. It is open to volunteers. Staff and attendees of the Slut Walk must be at least 18 years of age.
So here's the Wikipedia page. Slut walk is a transitional movement or a transnational movement. Slut walk is a transnational movement calling for an end to rape culture, including victim blaming and slut shaming of sexual assault victims. Participants protest against. I would love to have this discussion and debate with her, but if you get raped and then you become promiscuous after that, you can't. You are the biggest pro-rape activist in the world. No boy can get molested and then grow up and become promiscuous or encourage it and promote it, even though there are plenty of men that do it, the red pill types. But that's not a valid excuse. Again, I mentioned I've been in prison. That's where I went as a young man. You know, my felony years were from 18 to 28. Probation, in prison, and everything in between that. In jail and all that. And just other stuff. But it's so funny as a black man, no excuses. Felon since I was 18. Meanwhile, 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds, 50-year-old Trump was doing stuff I would never do. And how does the general population of inmates and convicts, those blue pillars, how do they treat the red pillars when they get in there? Oh, you thought you was alpha out there, huh? You took something because you could, huh? Okay. So you're here to get a taste of your own medicine, huh? That's what you're here for. That's what prison is about. They sentence you. And what you did was wrong. And if you don't accept it, the inmates gonna fuck you up. You know, that's how Jeffrey Dahmer got killed. The guy that killed Jeffrey Dahmer claimed that Jeffrey Dahmer was bragging about his crimes. And I was fortunate in prison. I didn't see a lot of gay stuff in there. Then don't know of anybody. I've heard stories. Dudes told me stories, but I didn't see it. One, I'm not that type of dude. I would never call myself an alpha. But no man is getting raped in front of me. No woman is getting raped in front of me. No child is getting raped in front of me. I mean, I got to be outnumbered and restrained and broken. You got to break me. I bet God, you got to break me. For me to not try to stop that, you got to break me. That was my mentality most of my life, and where has it gotten me? Homeless. The hero is not welcome around the people he saves when he's weak and vulnerable, or when he's decompressing or venting. It's everybody's fault that being heroic is not popular, it's not cool. You know, so many dudes, I know a lot of black conservatives, I really do. And there's different types of black conservatives. You got the Kevin Samuels type. I met Kevin Samuels. Me and him worked together at this place called West Telemarket in San Antonio in the 1990s. I don't know exactly what years, but I met him when I was young. We're both young. I'm not that far in age from him. But he was a grown man, married, said he would graduate at college and all this other type of stuff. but he was older than me. He tried to recruit me. We both worked at West Telemarketing. We both worked in the outbound division. I worked on projects and I got paid by the hour. He wanted me to switch to his department. He said he had just moved from the big center in Oklahoma City, and he wanted me to quit my department, ask for a transfer and transfer over to work on his team, and I would be working for commission only. And he talked to me about this every day. There was no way I was going to do it. But he was interesting. We had good conversations, and he always was the same as far as like he wanted to be a father. He wanted to be a dad. Kevin wanted nothing more in this world than to be a son. And any younger man that he could kind of treat him like a son in a mentally way, he would do it. Especially if you want the type to go off on him or check him and be like, dude, you're not somebody I would look up to. Even though I did respect Kevin, I like talking to him and everything. And he was unique. He stood out. He was not liked. One of those guys. There's so many different types of popular guy. You got that one popular guy that everybody love. They always trying to get his attention. If you passing through, they got to say hi. They got to talk to you. They got to get a hug. They got to get a little something. Kevin was different. He was popular as in people didn't want to be around him. And when he came around, it was weird. I got a really good, it's not good. The way I tell the story, it ain't good. I got to learn to tell the story better. But like the first time I met him because, anyway, I'm not talking about that. I've already sidetracked way too much. But again, this is to Kamala Harris. Imagine Kevin Samuels endorsing Kamala Harris. And what would Kevin Samuels do? I think Kevin is red pill. Well, Kevin was a sleeper. Kevin wasn't red pill. He didn't like you dudes at all. He hated you dudes. That's why he was trying to mold y'all and really bringing class to it, integrity. Don't just be angry for no reason. I think Kevin probably took anger management. I took anger management. But either way it go, us black conservatives, we got problems with Kamala. And not just black conservatives. Right now I'm just speaking for the black community, period. And Kamala already knows these holes. Kamala needs to address the whole marijuana thing and the whole tapes, the whole laughing things. Laughing Kamala. It's a hell of a nickname, and it's a good nickname. You could easily use it to backfire against Trump because, he don't laugh. And we won't laugh. We're going to all be as angry as him. When have you ever seen Trump laugh? Epstein never looked so happy and comfortable as when he was with fucking Epstein. And these are the people, the maggots are the people that call everybody else pedophiles. What do they call it? Hey Siri. What do they call it when a person reverses an accusation to avoid suspicion?
Okay, I found this on the web for what do they call it when a person reverses an accusation to avoid suspicion. Check it out.
No, that's not one. There's a word for it. There's a word for that. There's a lot of street words for it and street slang terms for it. That's why it's lost in my head probably. But what do you call it when you... There's so many words, so many slangs for it. But you're trying to spin somebody off and you're trying to... they use the term gaslighting these days for something real similar. Larry Hoover said it best. Hey Siri. Play Larry Hoover on the Resurrection.
Here's Larry Hoover, Part 1 by Jay Prince on Apple Music.
Hi, we appreciate your call.
So this is where I really want to start. And you have to watch an hour to get to this because now I'm finna talk about the real shit. Nobody deserves our vote. Nobody deserves the 21st century vote of black people. None of them freed Larry Hoover. Trump, least of all. If you like Larry Hoover, care about Larry Hoover, love Larry Hoover, you can't vote for Trump. All the other candidates could play dumb. But Kanye West actually went to the White House, brought up Larry Hoover, and Trump has avoided the subject. Has even talked about it. That was years ago Kanye went there and asked him to free Larry Hoover. He didn't listen to Kanye and free Larry Hoover, but he listened to Kanye's wife and free like some actual killers. Larry Hoover is not even accused of killing anybody. Larry Hoover is accused of the exact same thing Donald Trump is accused of, but he's never been charged with. Larry Hoover is accused of speaking and inciting violence by speaking to them. That's what the accusations are. And he's going to die in prison. He was sentenced to a certain crime in Illinois. He served his time, and then the state came, picked up the charge, indicted him with some new RICO stuff, and gave him like 100 and some years. Hey Siri, how many years did the United States government sentence Larry Hoover to?
He was sentenced to 200 years for a 1973 murder, and in 1997, after a 17-year investigation of
So a murder that they know for sure he didn't commit. And Larry Hoover is a fan of him, as a longtime fan of him. Grew up in Chicago listening to him as a legend and listening to his teachings and his writings. The only real political prisoner. And now Donald Trump has the nerve to call himself a political prisoner because he's gotten away with horrendous crimes for generations. Larry Hoover been locked up since he was a kid. And now he's the old man, going to die in prison. And even though Kanye West went directly to the White House and brought it up, Larry Hoover hasn't been pardoned. Instead, he pardoned Kodak Black. He pardoned Lil Wayne. He pardoned Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne was already out of prison. I believe he pardoned Lil Wayne for that New York City gun charge. Hey Siri, why was Lil Wayne pardoned?
Back in November, the funeral rapper was charged with possession of a firearm and ammunition as a felon after an anonymous tip was made, which led Miami cops and federal agents to search a jet of his. This answer is from Revolt.tv.
Is that even Lil Wayne? Because that's not the right story. Lil Wayne went to Rikers. But yeah, Lil Wayne wasn't even in jail. Lil Wayne had already served his time. So his pardon to Lil Wayne was an empty gesture. And trying to buy the black vote. These black conservatives, these MAGA conservatives, they think that most black people are, Cardi B fans and Jordans. Again, why do all these black conservatives? I went to the Cowboy Museum not too long ago. Hopefully I'll find some videos and pictures and upload that. But cowboys at one point were all black. Back in the early days, the slave days, the Buffalo Soldiers days, the Civil War days, cowboys were black men, all of them. So anyway, I went to the Cowboy Museum, owned by a black man, a black cowboy, a real black cowboy. He won some rodeo competitions back in the day. Again, he has the Cowboy Museum. Hey Siri, tell me about the Cowboy Museum in Texas.
I found one option, Jack Glover's Cowboy Museum on Wayside Drive in Wimberley, about 43 miles to your west. How about that one?
No, the African American Cowboy Museum.
Which one?
Nope.
I found this on the web.
They showed me Nope the movie. But anyway, if you're a black conservative, so many I know so many types of black conservatives. So many types. Like I said, I was a trucker for a long time. So many types of black conservatives in the trucking industry. I know a lot of black farmers and cowboys. Um, know a lot of black pastors and other guys that work some kind of religious capacity. Most couples that I know that have been married for over 50 years are black couples. I'm sure there are plenty of white couples that were married 50 years or more. And I know a few. But most people I know who were married for decades and decades and decades and decades, they're black. And they're probably pretty damn conservative. Not necessarily, but it's just like white Americans. Typically, the husband is conservative. Typically, the wife is more liberal. Typically, they probably vote different. That's pretty stereotypical, and you see that in black households. But even like with the black women, I don't know too many black liberal women. I just don't. Because again, how do I define a black liberal woman? And again, the women in my life, the black women in my life, none of them are pro-choice. They are and they're not. They definitely don't think abortion is a good thing. They definitely wouldn't encourage abortion. They know it's a sin. They know it's evil. At least, again, most of them that I know and hang out with, talk to. I don't hang out with nobody these days, but so to get the black vote, 3 things. I know I probably didn't name them at all. Larry Hoover, you should go ahead and say you're going to free him. You should go ahead and say it. You should. My first, advice to Kamala Harris. Advice number 1, be yourself. Be yourself. The thing that people most hate about you is they consider you phony. So be yourself, be unique. You're unique. Ain't nobody ever been like you. You do talk like a black woman. It does blow my mind. Don't you got an Indian mama? How did that happen? You sound like you throw me off. You sound like you could be from the south side of Chicago. What the fuck? Didn't you grow up? Do you speak Indian languages? Hey, Siri.
Mm-hmm.
Does Kamala Harris speak multiple languages?
Okay, I found this on the web for does Kamala Harris speak multiple languages. Check it out.
Does Kamala Harris speak any Indian language?
Here's what I found.
There we go. Does she speak Punjabi? Kamala Harris, this is not credible. This is from Quora. Kamala Harris's mother's native language tongue is neither Hindi or Punjabi, but Tamil. However, Kamala herself has said that she spoke a few Tamil phrases with her relatives as a child, but that was all. She doesn't really speak any Indian language. And I believe it. I heard her trying to speak Spanish. And boy, yeah, Kamala sounded like a black girl. Like, where the hell did she get that accent? I'm curious about it. I would love to interview her. But again, I'm a different kind of black conservative. Trump was a roller coaster ride for me. I didn't vote for Trump. But many times I came across as a Trump supporter, and many times I defended him. And many times he did things that I was like, yeah, I like Trump's Supreme Court. This last decision was crazy. And we see now that the Supreme Court is a problem. The last one, making presidents immune to the language of that, the color of the language of that legal writing is so precarious and so dangerous. It's unbelievable. Again, this is what conservative means. Give the president ultimate immunity. Now, I haven't read it. Maybe it does specify for I don't know. Maybe it does specify that, he can't be committing domestic heinous crimes. You can't be going around stabbing people, killing people. Like, again, the way they're reporting this law, it really sounds like he's setting it up to do a blitzkrieg like the Nazis did when Hitler first won power, and they just bum rushed all this stuff. Everything that Hitler did, he did in the name of Germany. He was a selfless leader that had him crying. But anyway, yeah, the comparisons they have compared every American president in my lifetime to Hitler, with the exception of Joe Biden. I haven't heard anybody compare Joe Biden to Hitler. How can you? Where's their comparison? There's got to be somebody out there doing it. But I remember comparisons. I remember Reagan. Reagan was the first one that was so striking because people used to go around, before the days of the internet, people would walk around on a corner with what they call sandwich boards. And they would write messages and verses and stuff on these big boards, and they would walk back and forth on the streets. And a lot of those boards back in the Reagan administration, they would have these things written about why Reagan was the Antichrist. Ronald, Wilson, Reagan. Each one of those letters has 6 letters. RONALD. Ronald Wilson, WILSON. Reagan, REAGAN or EN, or who cares? But 6 letters, so 666. Something about the prediction of the Antichrist. He'll get shot in the head and blah, blah, blah from Revelations. Well, he didn't get shot in the head. I believe he got shot in the chest. He got shot by a man named John Hinckley back in the day. John Hinckley was locked up here in Texas. He got released recently. Again, racism is real. If John Hinckley was black, John Hinckley spent most of his time locked up in pretty comfy, cushy state hospitals. I don't think he ever went to a prison. I don't think he ever went to an actual prison. Hinckley. Now this young guy that just tried to shoot Trump. Oh well. So we make this part 1. I'm actually call her back, but the 3 things. Say you're free Larry Hoover. That's not one of the 3 things, because that's for me and my constituents. That'll get you about 2 million votes right there. Apologize for the whole laughing tape marijuana thing and explain how you were wrong and the policies were wrong and the laws have changed and they have progressed in a good place and you completely agree with these new laws, yada, yada, yada. Be yourself. That's very important. Be uniquely you. Don't start calling yourself Afro-Asian or African, Asian American, or whatever. But you definitely do want to stress that you're just as much Asian as you are African. Get the Asian vote. I always kind of saw Kamala Harris as kind of like a centrist Democrat. Anyway, like I say, I already talked for 1.5 hours, and who knows, maybe nobody even liked this. So if I need to make part 2, and also if you'll help me build my Black conservative network. I want a different type of Black conservative network where we don't just talk about politics and stuff, but we make actual conservative content. Again, Christian rappers. I remember, BET was always problematic, but they weren't that problematic when I was young, especially for Black. You didn't feel shame watching BET. They tried not to make you ashamed. Sometimes it was embarrassing, those white pastors scamming old black women on Sundays. That was problematic. But they tried. And we need to try. Again, making conservative content. The closest thing we have to like conservative movies that's very famous is Tyler Perry. But he's obviously damaged. Something wrong with that boy. Some kind of trauma, man. And I'll psychoanalyze you for free. Let me interview all you people I've mentioned in this video. I ain't got no beef. I ain't got no shade. I had a hard childhood. So why would I sweat little shit? Donald Trump got shot at. Again, Hinckley got shot. I remember watching The Challenger. Teacher all happy, excited. Sweetest teacher in the world. And that shit blew up. That shit blew up. Teachers coast to coast having nervous breakdowns and crying and sobbing. And I'm from Chicago. I went to school in the suburbs at the time. And I was around some very different people from different environments. Anyway, this must be important. But yeah, if you want part 2, like, share, subscribe. Different type of black conservative.